Is Pam Elvenary. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm speaking to you this morning as a representative of the music director search team. This music director transition is an exciting and unprecedented time in the life of our church. Never before have we had the opportunity for the outgoing music director to overlap with the incoming music director for onboarding and passing the torch. And May is an exciting month with many holidays and church happenings. As such, it has been challenging to plan a transition to meet the needs of the congregation, the board, the worship team, the music directors. So here's the plan that we've come up with. Today, May 12, onboarding. Stephen and Gabrielle are working together on today's service, including a special duet as the post lead. This will give Stephen an opportunity to work with Gabby at the church here and show her the ropes. Next Sunday, May 19, annual congregational meeting. To focus our attention on the maintenance work of the annual meeting, and because Reverend Jane will be out of the pulpit, next week will be neither Stephen's last Sunday nor Gabrielle's first Sunday. Stephen will provide the music per usual. May 26th, appreciating Stephen. Stephen Dininger will provide the music, giving him the opportunity for a musical farewell to the congregation. And a special Farewell Stephen coffee hour will follow the service, giving the congregation an opportunity to express appreciation for all he has done for us these many years. June 2, welcoming Gabrielle. Gabrielle Boguslaw will provide the music, officially beginning her tenure as our new music director. A special Welcome Gabrielle coffee hour will follow the service, giving the congregation an opportunity to get to know Gabby and her vision for the future of music at Channing. Ask her about reviving the choir. We appreciate your support during this transition, and we hope that all of you will take part in as many of these activities as you can during this exciting time.
Come one, come all. Come with your missing pieces and your extra screws. Come with your hard edges and your soft spots. Come with your bowed heads and upright spines. Come all you flamboyant and drab, verbose and quiet fidgeting and lethargic. All of you with large vision and tender hearts. All of you with small courage and tender fears. Bring your lisp and your stutter and your song. Bring your gravel and your drawl and your lilt. Bring your anger and your joy and your righteous indignation. Misfits and conformists and everyone in between. Come into this space and be welcome. Bring who you are. Bring where you've traveled, what you long for, and let us worship together. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit to join our voices in our opening hymn, The Morning Hangs a Signal, number 40 in the Gray Hymnal.
standing as Julia Lawrence lights our chalice. And as Julia lights our chalice this morning, let it serve as a symbol of our togetherness. And also let it serve as a reminder that we make this place sacred by coming together and sharing our authentic selves with one another.
All right, we don't have pictures today though. the one day we don't have pictures. You're gonna love it.
The question is, who's going to help him get up?
All right, wonderful. It is now time for our story for all ages. I invite you to gather around as we hear a special story called The Pear Tree and the Seasons of Life by an unknown author. There was once a man who had 4 young sons. He wanted to teach them about the dangers of judging things too rapidly before seeing all aspects of a situation. So he decided to send each of them on a journey, one after the other, to view and observe a distant pear tree. Each son traveled in a different season, the first in winter, the second in spring, the third son in summer, and the fourth in fall. At the end of the year, he brought his children together and asked them about what they had seen and observed. The son who traveled in winter described a gnarled, twisted, and barren tree that stood stark and ugly against the land. The son who went in the spring disagreed completely. He commented that the tree seemed full of hope and promise, with many green buds along its branches. The third son, who traveled in the summer, described the pear tree he had seen as covered with beautiful blossoms that looked and smelled divine. Finally, the fourth and last son, who made the journey in the fall, was even more elated. He described a tree with sweet and delicious pears that tasted better than any he had ever eaten before. After each son had spoken, the father said they were actually all correct, because each had only seen but one season in the pear tree's life. He told his sons that it is foolish and impossible to make wise and fair judgments in this manner. He further explained that the essence of something, whether it's a tree or their fellow person, can only be measured as a whole at the end of the year, having seen it in all its developments and fullness. To make a negative judgment in winter is to miss the promise of spring, the beauty of summer, and the delicious fruit of fall. Moral of the story? We each contain a wealth of identities. May we accept ourselves and each other as one complete, complex whole. Thanks for listening. Let's see how these guys did. Remain seated for our prayer hymn, number 123 in the gray hymnal. In the silence that follows the spoken prayer, you are invited to come forward and light a candle for any joys or concerns you hold in your heart this morning. Spirit of love and light, in this moment we hold in love, light, and prayer our beloveds Ron and Rosemary and the entirety of their mourning family. Last Thursday, Ron and Rosemary's brother-in-law Larry passed away peacefully in his sleep after prolonged failing health. May the family find strength in the love they hold between them and solace in their treasured memories. May we hold Ron and Rosemary in a loving embrace during this trying time. Larry will be deeply missed. Spirit and love of life, source and mother of all that is, may we hold in this sacred and hallowed space motherhood, a blessed, complicated, difficult, impossible, life-giving, breathtaking role. May we honor in this holy space those who are joyous and those who are working to heal. May we celebrate in this moment all of those who mother, all of those who have tended and cared for each of us, those who healed our wounds and dried our tears, those who held us compassionately, and those who celebrated our accomplishments, those who listened when we cried and offered wisdom when we were broken, those who guided us and inspired us and motivated us and encouraged us, those whose love was unceasing and compassion boundless. And may we know that these identities are plentiful. May we lift up birth mothers and adoptive mothers and foster mothers and stepmothers, aunts or teachers or grandmothers or siblings who served as mothers, single mothers, working mothers, impoverished mothers, and wealthy mothers. In this space we hold those who wanted to be mothers but couldn't, those who did not want to be mothers but are. We lift up grieving mothers and those who grieve their mothers, those who celebrate this day and those who mourn this day. Blessed Creator and source of all life, may we hold in this space all of those who touched us and guided us in life-affirming ways, knowing that motherhood is boundless, that we each know what it means to be deeply beloved in someone's eyes. Blessed be, and amen. I light a candle for the joys and concerns of those beloveds joining us virtually. And I light a candle for all else that we hold in our hearts and our minds this morning. If your heart is hurting, know that your community is here to help, as am I. Please reach out with any needs.
A few minutes ago, our chalice lighting ritual served as a symbol of our coming together and of our being together in this sacred space. Now, the ritual of the offering reminds us of the great power that we have when we share with one another. Each of us gives our time, our talent, and our treasure, and by doing so, it is together that we make our church and its beloved community. For those of you watching the service online, you may contribute to a virtual offering plate using the donate button on our website, or by mailing a check to the new church office. The address will be posted in the chat. I now invite the ushers forward to receive the offering. And now, seeing as how it is the second Sunday of the month, I invite Jim Caldiero, a member of our second Sunday collection team, to conduct this month's special collection.
Thank you, David. Now that we have an incoming music director and an outgoing music director, I have to ask, why are you so bad at singing hymns? Because we're so busy reading ahead to see if we agree with the lyrics. Good morning. I'd like to take just a few minutes to let you know how we're doing on our second Sunday special collections. You generously donated $326 for food insecurity and $316 for Bridges to Housing Stability. This latter donation was recognized by Bridges with the Silver Ladle Award, and thanks to Kathleen Rasmus and Ken Callan for their efforts. Now, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you about the UU Service Committee, which celebrates its 85th anniversary this year. And happy Mother's Day. When Martha Sharp, a young mother, made the fateful decision to leave her children in the care of another and joined our husband, Reverend Waitstill Sharp, on the mission to Prague in 1939 to save those most at risk from Nazi terror, she helped establish a UU legacy of advancing human rights worldwide as a founder of the UU Service Committee. She and Waitstill placed their own lives at risk and are credited with saving thousands of lives, children, artists, academics, people of the Jewish faith, refugees. 85 years later, the service committee continues the work begun by Martha and Waitstill around the world with grassroots partners centered on experience and the leadership of the people who are most impacted by injustice. Assisting refugees and asylees at our southern border, assisting the Rohingya Muslims from Burma who are facing inhumane treatment and displacement by their own government, working with Polish NGOs, activists, and volunteers that formed in response to the humanitarian crisis in Ukraine, and protecting the rights of a new type of refugee, climate refugees, where the climate crisis is endangering the lives and livelihoods of Pacific Islanders from Fiji, the Marshall Islands, and native villages that dot the Alaskan coastline. As Reverend Lynn Harrison writes, let us join together to heal our wounded Mother Earth, her children in the Pacific and Alaska, in Burma, Ukraine, Central America, along our southern border. Let us join together in strength, courage, hope, and generosity to create a new world of well-being, justice, peace, and abundance for all. Your generosity is greatly appreciated. And happy Mother's Day. Thank you.
I now invite the others to come up a second time. For all that you give, and all that you do for our church and its wider concerns, we give thanks. Our first reading this morning are the words of Carl Rogers. People are just as wonderful as sunsets, if I can let them be. In fact, perhaps the reason we can truly appreciate a sunset is that we cannot control it. When I look at a sunset, as I did the other evening, I don't find myself saying, soften the orange up a little on the right-hand corner and put a little bit more purple along the base and use a little more pink in the cloud color. I don't do that. I don't try to control a sunset. I watch with awe as it unfolds. I like myself best when I can appreciate my staff member, my son, my daughter, my grandchildren in this same way. And these the words of Elizabeth Gilbert. The most people that I know, and the most wise people that I know, are the ones who have created enough internal space to be able to allow all the parts of themselves to coexist despite the contradictions. They have room for their dignity. They also have room for their fear. They have room for the creativity. They also have room for their shame. They have room for the parts of themselves that are glorious and divine and wonderful. And they have room for the parts of themselves that are petty and jealous and ridiculous. Right? Like they create this big, huge auditorium of a landscape inside themselves. They don't kick any parts out because guess what? You can't. I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we join our hymns, our voices in hymn 128 from the great hymnal, For All That Is Our Life.
Nature is a wonder to me in part, as it is a reflection on the human experience. Cycles of dormancy and flourishing, introspection and expression synonymous with seasons transitioning from the pause of winter to the abundant life of spring. Nature simply is, as her beauty abounds. There is no controlling the emergence or completion of spring, just as there is no controlling the emergence of anger or love. As we noted in our story for all ages, we need each element of this natural world, all of her blessed seasons, all of her abundance and scarcity, dormancy and liveliness, to experience a complex whole, just as we are made up of both complementary and contradictory identities. Winter does not define the whole. Summer does not define the whole. It is all of these elements together that culminate in one concrete, beautiful ensemble, both of the world and of the complexities of our own inner being. In our reflection on pluralism, of that radical inclusion we discussed last week, I invite us to pause and meditate on Mother Earth just as we pause and meditate on our own inner selves. Last week we spoke of a pluralistic society. Today we reflect upon the pluralism held within each of us. We are sorrow and joy, judgment and acceptance, love and hate, kindness and meanness. None of this is wrong. All of this is human, just as there is no error in the abundance of spring or the dormancy of winter. In a faith of love, of compassion, and of reverence, as individuals with morals of inclusion and generosity, we may understand this judgment, hate, and meanness as something to be expelled from our psyches, and yet I invite us into a counterintuitive state of welcome. There is a belief that ridding ourselves of what we hold internally within that has been deemed bad may lead to a grateful life, fully compassionate, fully loving, fully joyful. What if accepting all of who we are leads to a compassionate, full, loving life instead? Anger or fear, that is a part of my inner psyche. This becomes part of my full humanity. I am perfect in my imperfections. I am full as I embrace all of what it is to be a complex, whole, unique, and perfectly imperfect human. Why do we try to hide this instead of accepting the plurality within? So many of us hold ourselves to perfection. Some may feel we need to be pure in our goodness in order to be a good person, to be a good friend or partner or sibling or even a better stranger. And yet let us reflect on a relationship based on imperfection. This acceptance of an imperfect self allows for compassion and our embrace of others' inherent anger or inner judgments. Would we not be a more beautiful companion if we honored and embraced others' imperfections, just as we honor our own? Accepting all of everyone, strangers and beloveds alike, that is to be a full, blessed, compassionate being. With a caveat, abuse in any form is never to be accepted. To be truly free, we must unapologetically embrace all of who we are. If we are tethered to this idea of the expulsion of judgment and animosity, we are forever bound to the unachievable, and this leaves us in bondage. We can never be free. To work for exile is to be trapped in a world of anxiety and frustration. Instead, let us celebrate the fullness of who we are, such a wealth of identities, and celebrate the beauty that unconditional acceptance carries with it. Free, as we are allowed to feel anger, allowed to feel judgment, allowed to feel animosity. And yet, in the same breath, note that we need to be intentional in what we bring to this pluralistic world. What we hold within is to be honored. What we bring to the world is to be intentional as well, as we affect all of the siblings in our midst, all of those in our interdependent, interconnected world. May we exude love, compassion, inclusion, and faith, which will be amplified in meaning and purpose if we are truly free to be authentic within our own beings. If we are free within, we more fully express love and joy and compassion beyond. Psychologist Carl Rogers has his own reflections on comparing ourselves with the natural world. To Rogers, we are a sunset, beautiful in our pinks, oranges, and golds, a beauty to be fully appreciated. Rogers offers perhaps the reason we can truly appreciate a sunset is that we cannot control it. We do not control sunsets. We cannot change the fading colors or the globe of the sun. We simply observe in awe and in reverence. We simply observe. We notice anger or judgment or animosity. All of this is not to say we cannot work through therapy or faith to rid ourselves of that which causes angst. In fact, we should do this. But this metaphor serves as an acknowledgement that we will forever be imperfect beings, and that we can observe in peace the plurality of just who we are. Our lives are filled with awe and wonder as they unfold in layers of complexity that create one overarching beauty, that of a sunset. This acceptance and simple observation keeps us from settling into shame or self-judgment. We observe and work to heal. We see complexity as the good becomes intermixed with the bad, and we do not judge. And this is reflective on how we relate to others. Each of us is sunset, filled with an array of identities that makes up one beautiful, authentic, fully whole human. Author Elizabeth Gilbert wrote, "The most peaceful people that I know, and the most wise people that I know, are the ones who have created enough internal space to be able to allow all the parts of themselves to coexist despite the contradictions." The wisdom, learning how to create this peaceful coexistence of the contradictory. One does not battle the other, they simply are. Bravery and fear, dignity and shame. These each have a sacred space of belonging within our very being. Some of these identities are glorious and divine. Some are petty and ridiculous. So may we embrace peace in knowing that together they allow us to be fully human. May we simply and profoundly create space for all of these emotions and identities to exist, so every element of our being may be at peace. Everything has a home. Some we call forth more often than others, but each has a space, a holy container. Yet I return to our recurring caveat. Even though we are intentional in allowing and celebrating all that we hold within, we are likewise intentional in not bringing all of this to the world and the beloveds and strangers held within it. This is not permission to be reckless with anger or judgment or animosity. Who we are in the world matters. So let us embrace all that was within and yet use this to create more beauty in the world. Not airing our grievances, but sharing our cultivated wisdom, sharing our knowledge that no being is perfect, sharing our intentional work of cultivating inner peace. Likewise, we are not called to be complacent or indifferent to that of which we hold within, but to deeply engage with it. We are called always to work on ourselves, to cultivate the beauty and sustainability of this complex and contradictory coexistence within, as we work through therapy or faith or meditation to connect to and amplify the good as we acknowledge and transform the bad. How do we engage with the worst pieces of ourselves? This is what will lead to acceptance, not the expulsion of that which keeps us in bondage. We say to our very selves, I see you, I acknowledge you, I know you are a legitimate piece of myself. I love you as I love all of me. I do not reject you. You are a part of the beautiful human being that I am. And then we do the work of transformation. For me, I feel this poignantly in the deep anxiety I carry within. This is our plurality. We offer to the difficult pieces just what we offer to joy and peace and hope, fully acknowledging both. Can we offer these same affirmations and sentiments to all of humanity, to every blessed being in our midst, stranger and friend alike? Affirmation and acceptance for all. Let us further reflect on the poetry of Gunilla Norris. Through our willingness to be the one we are, we become one with everything. In our complementary acceptance of the good and the bad within ourselves, we intimately know and accept the good and the bad held inherently in all beings and in the world itself. We learn how to become one with the imperfections that saturate all of existence in this transient realm. Likewise, we accept that we are a gift from the great Creator, who bestowed us with judgment as well as compassion, a true gift in all of its complexities and contradictions, and that this gift is bestowed upon all of creation. We, all of creation, all of that which we are bound to in perpetuity, are a gift of the same great Mother. To accept this is an act of grace, an act of gratitude, an act of awe. To accept just who we are is to become one with all that is. Let us pause again on this idea of expulsion, of getting rid of that which we feel seeks to harm us. Can this ever fully be achieved? I believe no. Each feeling, each emotion or identity is part of who we are at our very core. It is part of our personal, beautiful, pluralistic self. What we can do is welcome it and transform it. If we feel we have pushed it to the very edge of our existence, we can instead make space for it and invite it back as an inherent piece of who we are. It is reminiscent of those wise ones making space for the contradictory. It is unconditional acceptance of self, all of who we are, and this is beautiful. It is simultaneously an act of transformation. Often, the harm that rises to the surface is the body's response to great pain we have experienced. Instead of attempting fruitlessly to expel the people-pleasing that haunts us, may we offer instead, thank you for being a part of my life, yet I no longer need you. May we sit with it and meditate with it until its insecurity becomes self-compassion. Instead of excelling anger, may we offer thank you for being a form of expression, yet I no longer need you. As we create space for anger, may we give it the sacred and life-affirming opportunity to transform into a different way of interacting with the world, one of love. In making space for all of who we are, instead of running and hiding and excelling and demonizing, we foster a gentle and kind invitation for personal transformation. All of this is to say, our lives are a paradox. I close by offering a stanza of Gunilla Norris's poem, Paradox of Noise. We each possess a deeper level of being, however, which loves paradox. It knows that summer is already growing like a seed in the depth of winter. It knows that the moment we are born, we begin to die. It knows that all of life shimmers in shades of becoming, that shadow and light are always together, the visible mingled with the invisible. Life is a paradox of wonder alongside dismay, indifferent alongside curiosity. Deep within, as with a seed, wonder and awe are sprouting from hate and anger. Peace and wisdom are being cultivated from that which seeks to destroy. We accept and embrace and observe and honor all of that which is held within. As summer turns to fall, turns to winter, just as we are alive, we are dying. So may we celebrate each season, each beautiful transitory expression of who we are as we traverse from birth to death. What is light but joy and exuberance? What is shadow but calm, peace, and introspection? We may not have one without the other. May stillness call us to life. May pain call us towards strength. May isolation call us towards compassion. May the visible bounties of life intermingle with the joy, calm, delight, and compassion we hold tenderly within, and likewise the pain, hardship, and judgments. May we not expel but transform, for all that we hold deeply, truthfully, fully within is beauty, is peace, is love. May it be so, and amen. Please rise in body or spirit to join our voices in hymn number 1060. 64, Blue Boat Home, in our teal hymnal. May we leave this sacred space embracing the paradox that is our lives. The compassion, the judgments, the wonder, the dismay. As we hold anger within yet bring love to the world, may we know freedom, may we know transformation, just as we know acceptance for all that it is we hold in our very beings. That which was ugly becomes a sacred piece of all that we are. That which caused anguish now heals a broken heart. May we embrace this hallowed space, pausing in this moment to become one with all that is.